Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. It is Wednesday, June the 16th, and I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am here with my playing partner, Mr. Andrew Hansen, to discuss the exciting, highly awaited, incredible U.S. Open at Torrey Pines in San Diego. What do you think about that, Andrew?
Oh, I'm fired up, and I appreciate that. I like that nickname, your playing partner. And as a lefty, I need to shout out since you mentioned June 16th. It is Phil's
Yes.
birthday today. He turns
Hey.
51. Another
Wow.
another lefty. He's sort of in the limelight here in the world of professional golf after winning that last major, and now it's basically a home event for him, and
Yep.
all eyes are going to be on him. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how he rebounds. And I have had the pleasure to walk part of this course.
Yeah.
Didn't get to play it, but walked around with the family and saw the third hole, that par three, heading towards the ocean, which is one of the picturesque holes here.
Yep.
Very challenging. And I just can't wait to watch this event and see how Phil reacts. There's a lot of local guys we'll get into who really
Right.
want to raise the trophy here on Sunday. But a lot to go into it, and we love the majors here.
There's no question. We've got a good record in them, and they're covered so well. We'll get to see pretty much every shot of everything we want to see. So it is awesome stuff. Well, let me set the groundwork here a little bit. No pun intended with the course
Right.
itself, and talk a little bit about that. Then we'll start getting into, of course, the statistical analysis that you always bring forward, and also, start talking some value. And everybody's going to be after the big guys, but as we all know, you've got to have those add-ons that make it through to the cut and
Yes.
get it done for you. So, yeah, as we said, beautiful course here, beautiful weather. It's San Diego. How can you get bad weather? 70s, not huge wind, just beautiful conditions. So that should be a great relief than not having to dodge weather like we've had to recently. And the course, for those that are used to the tournament at Torrey Pines, the Farmers, they play 2 rounds on the North Course and 2 on the South Course. I believe that's right. And
Or is it one and
or is it
three?
3-1? It
Yeah.
might be 3-1. But the bottom line is, in this event, all 4 rounds are played on the South Course.
Heading
So
south.
right, and that's the tougher course, the
Yep.
longer course, par fours over 500 yards. And so there's not going to be any easy days, or you don't have to worry if you're playing this event day by day to try to catch the better course, because it's going to all be on this course. The tee time should remain sound because of the weather. So, you're going to be able to play, each day if you like. It is 7,652, so pretty long, and it's only a par 71. So, looking at the diagram of the holes, Andrew, some of those par fours are just insane. I mean, they're basically par fives that they're making them play as a par four.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, that's what they did with one of the holes from the Farmers, and they turned it into that long par four that you're talking about.
Yeah,
And yeah, going hole by hole, I mean, they're massive holes. There's rough bunkers, not water. There's only the 18th hole water
right.
hazard. We've got the ocean, of course,
Yeah,
but I mean, it's all about the rough this week. It's going to be
yeah,
long, and the players keep referring to it as pretty gnarly.
yeah,
And my understanding is that it's even thicker around the greens.
right.
And so we'll get into that a little bit when we go through our statistical analysis.
Yes, definitely. And I watched quite a few of the interviews yesterday, and John Rahm specifically was saying, you could be 10 feet off the green in the rough and have no shot, because he said, depending on how it lands, it's so thick and laying over top of each other. If it sits on the top, you're fine. If it, burrows down in, you can hardly see the ball. He said, you'll be lucky to move it 5 feet. So accuracy is going to be huge, and having the Phil magic around the greens is going to be important, it sounds like, as well.
Yeah, and a little bit of luck will come into play with what kind of a lie do you get in the rough, as you're
Yeah.
describing. But if you think about it, the skill will trump that, because if you just avoid the rough, you don't even have to worry about the lie.
That's true. That's true. And that's going to take accuracy. And I know, that is a big factor here. I mean, yes, it's super long, but here's the problem. It's not one of those super long courses with giant fairways that run out.
Right.
This is narrow. So
Yep.
it's you have to be long, but I think even more importantly, you have to be straight, because if you spray the ball around, there's going to be singles, doubles, and others that come into play. So, uh, it's you can't just point out, in getting ready for this, I was trying to, get my picks in line, build some lineups. You can't just really rely on the bombers, because that may not get you anywhere if you're not accurate. And then the shorter hitters that, station to station kind of guys, I mean, they can do all right, but sometimes, where other guys will have an 8 iron or 9 iron and they have a 5 or 6, that's a huge advantage for these guys too, with the loft and everything else. So I don't know. I was mixed in how I felt, what would be the best spot to go. But, and, looking at reading some of the analysis prior to, they said it's not just a bomber's paradise. You really do have to be accurate, and you have to be able to play out of the rough. And there's been success here from guys on the South course, that aren't the longest hitters on tour, like the Leishmans and Snedigers, that can, just be very consistent around the greens and putt really well. So I think it's not going to be such a slanted number of, let's load up 4 of our 6 guys as, long hitters or great putters. It's going to take the true test, and that's what a U.S. Open should be. You've got to have all the aspects of your game in play, in order, to even get on that first page.
That's right. And with all the course history here with the Farmers Insurance Open, I think it's worth looking at. But
Yeah.
do remember that it is set up for the U.S. Open, so the rough is much longer.
Yes. And
But
one of those rounds is on the North Course too, which
exactly,
makes a big difference,
it
because
makes a huge difference.
you look at those numbers on the North Course, 66, 65, they're not going to, that's not going to happen, I don't think, too much on this one.
Right. Everybody gets all excited for their North Course round, and they just try to hang on the South Course to make the cut. But
Yeah.
it's going to be hanging on for all 4 rounds here in this event. And to follow up on your description there, the 2 stats I looked at the most were driving accuracy off the tee and then strokes gained approach to the green.
Perfect. Yeah.
And what I'm finding is kind of eye-opening, that a lot of the top players here are not as high in driving accuracy as you might think. I mean, we know that some of them don't care as much about it, the Brysons of the world, who just want to
Right.
go
Blast.
for distance, and then they'll figure
Yeah.
it out down there. But you just can't do it quite as much on this course. Like you said, it's not just a bomber's paradise. It's balancing it out. And in the final analysis, the way I'm approaching this is that the strokes gained approach stat is the most important this week, because of all these accounts of the rough being so thick around the green, that
Yeah.
you've got to have that second shot end up where you want it to, because a lot of these greens are challenging as well. So the guys that I'm fired up about, that's really the key consistent variable, is strokes gained approach. A guy like Morikawa, who's number 1 in that stat,
Yeah.
I think it's hard to argue against him, although he has struggled with putting. We know that, but if his putter is solid, then the ball striking is tremendous. I'll just run down a few of the guys who are at the top of that category.
Strokes gained,
Strokes
right?
gained approach, who are
Okay.
getting my attention. Tyrrell Hatton is 4th. Last week we talked about him, and you noted that in his interviews he's not always sounding optimistic, but all of a sudden you turn around and he finishes 2nd place,
Yeah.
and he's pretty cheap on DraftKings, 8,300.
Yeah, I
So
think that's a steal.
yeah,
He's one of my circle. You know, I'm a big Hatton guy
yeah,
anyway. I think he's a little sharp right now too. So
yeah. I'll take that. I'll take
yeah,
that profile and that price.
I like that stat. I did not know he was that high up in that stat either. So that makes me feel better.
Yeah. Paul, how about Paul Casey, our old friend here? He's
Oh
fifth.
no.
He is fifth in that
Is he
stat.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And how about his last two events? He tied for fourth at the PGA, and then he was in sixth place in the European event most recently.
Yeah.
He's a nice price.
He
John Rahm.
tortures us.
Yeah, he does. John Rahm is 12th,
Yeah.
and we know he's really at the center of attention after what happened at the Memorial. What do you think
Yeah.
about him? Do you think he's ready to bounce back in a good spot mentally?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I'm not going to go there.
He is
I
expensive, a lot more expensive than these other
he's
guys.
super expensive, but he is the favorite to win the event. So I
Yep.
mean, you can't just decline that, and it's not really even close. So I was surprised. He's nine
I
to
know,
one,
me
by the
too.
way,
Yep.
and then there's a huge after that 16 to 1 and down. So Vegas really thinks he's the guy to beat, but like I say, we've talked about him 3 or 4 different times over the last maybe 6 weeks. I just don't think his headspace is completely right. And just between controversy and comments he's made, new dad, but sort of in a way that isn't really motivating him, I don't think. So I don't know. I'm just not comfortable. I think it's a little bit too much variance. But if he's on his game, we all know he's certainly capable. But I'm going to be fading him, Andrew. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
risky, but I'm going to probably fade him.
He does have a lot going on off the course with the COVID
Yeah,
situation, new father, his parents over here, being away from his family during that time.
right.
So, and he's expensive. So,
Yes, very
yeah,
expensive.
I think a strong case can be made towards building a lineup without him. How about
Okay.
Xander Schauffele? He's 22nd in that category. He has done very well historically at the U.S. Open,
Oh, yeah.
and he's fired up as a. I mean, he grew up playing on this course.
Yeah.
I liked his interview that I saw this week, where sometimes he's also more kind of flatlining it. Sounds
Yeah.
a little bit robotic, but he's really into it and talking about picturing, lifting that trophy, and he seems fired up for this week.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I mean, how many majors has he been knocking at the door
Oh,
now? It's like
everyone, yeah,
every tough course where they play a major, he's on that page. He's in one of the final groups on Sunday. I mean, he's gotten enough taste of what that takes. The fact that it's his home course, man, I think he might be a little chalky, but I don't think anybody's going to be overwhelmingly chalky. But I'm with you. I think Schauffele has a big shot here, and different compared to Rahm. Rahm sort of wears his heart on his sleeve. You could tell when it's not going great for him. But Schauffele's just such a reserved guy that you know you may not think he's motivated, but you can, that's part of his demeanor. I think that's what keeps him level-headed, and I think he's ready to contend here for sure.
yep. I want to ask you about your man Zalatoris because
Yeah.
his statistical profile jumped out at me. In driving
Okay.
accuracy, he's below 150th this year, below
Oh my goodness.
150th, but he's third in strokes gained approach. And in the Farmers earlier this year, he finished tied for seventh. So he's
Okay.
had success on this course. It'll be tougher this week, but we know that he's been dealing with some
Yeah.
off the course stuff, relationship wise. So, uh, does he have what it takes to get back into focus here?
I know everybody's going to say, well, look at the run he made at the Masters and everything else, but I just don't think from everything, that's going on off the course, as you mentioned, that he's going to have quite the gut to get this done because, you know, let's remember the fact that this guy is so young and hasn't had that many experiences, especially in the majors. So, as much as I like him, I just think his time is yet to come here a little bit down the road.
Yep. Before I forget, I want to mention a couple other these local guys in addition to
Hmm.
Xander. We've got Phil, who we've talked about. He's
Yeah,
more expensive at 7,700 on DraftKings than he was at the PGA. His odds have come down, but he seems to be aware of the fact that he's got to be a little bit less aggressive this week with the U.S.
yeah,
Open and his lack of success on this course. So that'll be fun. And then Charlie Hoffman, another local guy who's played here a ton as a
yeah.
younger guy and in competition, and he's similar to Will Zalatoris. His driving accuracy is not good at all, but he's sixth in strokes gained approach, and
Interesting.
he's a nice price. So there's a guy that I've got some interest in as a potential value play.
Yeah, no, I mean he's a nice player. I mean when he's on his game, he really can score. But the concern is, and that's the decision we have to make is, if he goes awry off the tee, it's pretty tough to scramble back and make par on this course. So we'll see if he can get off the tee though. He's a fine play.
Yep. Two other guys I want to mention, maybe three, with
Okay.
some of the stats. Patrick Reed, who's pretty solid in both categories. We know that he won the Farmers by 5 shots.
That's right. Yes, and that means a lot. I
Yep.
mean, it really does.
So we've got Reed to consider. Shane Lowry, I kind of like. He's 41st in strokes gained approach, similar to Paul Casey. His last two events tied for fourth and then tied for sixth.
Yeah.
And he's got the mentality here to grind out some pars. And then last, my man Kevin Streelman, who is 42nd in driving accuracy and 26th strokes gained
Hmm.
approach. We know he's not a big bomber, but he is so consistent with top
Right.
20 finishes. So he's another value guy right in that same price range as Charlie Hoffman, who I think we can consider.
And I like him because he makes a lot of cuts too. I mean, he's going to keep it in play and get you to the weekend. So I think he's a smart play as well.
Excellent. Well, anything else you want to hit on with the odds before I mention a couple value plays?
Yeah, I'm gonna excuse me. I'm gonna jump to the odds real quick, but wanted to make mention because we always discuss this on Wednesdays. Because if you're listening to this, you're a PGA fan, I would assume, and you play PGA DFS. But Wednesday is the best day to take advantage of our 3-day membership. It's only $10. The reason Wednesday is the best day, if you listen to this and jump in this evening at 8:30, we put our picks up for the tournament for the U.S. Open. So you'll get all of our full lineup on Fanduel and Yahoo, and a clipboard and core on Draftkings. And then you also will get Friday's weekend only lineups. So we do lineups for the entire tournament that come out Wednesday night, and then for the weekend that come out Saturday night. So again, for $10, great chance to check out Coach Talk. And it's not just golf that you get. If you sign up with us for any of our passes or memberships, you receive everything that we have, all of our sports. Right now, we're just knee deep in basketball and baseball and golf. We really focus on those main sports, and then football when it rolls around. So we'd love to have you join us. Check us out. Great chance to get your feet wet. There's some enormous events on FanDuel and DraftKings. Did you see some of those prize pools?
Sure did.
Oh, I'll tell you, I know you'll be multi-entering some of those
Yeah.
puppies, but I'm more, of a 1 or 2 build cash guy. But with those kind of big prizes, I may have to get out the pencil and eraser and start putting some hand build a bunch of lineups.
I
So
like it.
yeah, so we'd love to have you, Coach Talk. Go to dfscoachtalk.com. You can sign up right there. If you have any questions, check us out on Twitter at dfscoachtalk. Andrew is at Language Olympic, and I am at JOESARVADI. If you're watching this right now on YouTube, please take a second right now just to hit that thumbs up, the subscribe button, and the little alarm up in the corner. If you're listening to us on any of our podcast sites, which were everywhere podcasts can be found, quick 5-star and comment, and we give away a free weekly membership once a month to a lucky person that put 5 stars in a comment. So we would love for you to do that. All right, odds. I already told you. John Rahm, 9-1 favorite. Dustin Johnson, second choice at 16-1. Then we have 3 guys, one getting a lot of play that opened at 22-1. That is on Xander Schauffele. So we're not the only ones that took notice there. He's 18-1 with Koepka and DeChambeau, the defending U.S. Open champ. And then we have Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy at 20-1. Morikawa, who you mentioned, 22. Justin Thomas as well at 22. Cantlay at 25, along with Hovland and Finau. So that's the main group, 25-1 and under. Anything really stand out to you there, or did you expect that grouping?
Well, the distance between Rahm and then the rest surprised me.
Right.
So to bet on him at that number to win, I don't advise that.
Right.
He certainly could do it, but I'd rather get one of those other studs in the 20-1 range, like Morikawa or Xander or Cantlay, one of those guys.
Yeah. Cantlay's a California kid too, so he's going to be in the mix of it. Let me throw a few at you that surprised me, Andrew, and let's get your quick reaction to these, and then I'll tell you what surprised me on him. Patrick Reed, 30-1.
That's a nice price. I like that.
I agree. I think he's winning now on that course by 5 shots. His type of game, he's long enough. He's a magician around the greens. I think Patrick Reed's a great play.
Nice value.
Yep. All right. This one is going to make you laugh, but I think I'm going to know your answer here. Paul Casey's 45-1.
Ooh, here we go. Let's invest in that, Coach. Come on. What can go wrong with going heavy on Paul Casey?
We've been down this road, and it never ends well. But 45-1, man, for a guy that's playing that good of golf, that's dangerous. Here's a guy too that I thought jumped out at me. Louis Oosthuizen, 55-1.
I mean, he's like Xander. You just every time you turn around, he's tied for second or he's tied for fourth in a major.
Yeah.
I mean, so these guys, I don't mind a top 10 bet or a top 20 bet. You're not going to get a huge return, but you feel pretty good about it.
I agree. I mean, and we've seen it a lot of times. Generally, these really tough courses take a lot of experience. It's not the young guys that just blast it and win this that much. Now, I know DeChambeau did yet last year, but it was a completely different style course. And so I think guys like Louis, you could see, whether they win it or not, but you could see him on that final page, the first page. This is a guy I've played all year long, and I don't think when I've played him, he's missed a cut. Corey Connors is 75-1.
Yeah, I mean, a lot to ask for him to win. We saw that he had a little bit of trouble at the PGA when he was in contention on that Saturday.
But he was in contention.
He was in contention. So, I mean, he could certainly win a major here at some point. Not my first choice this week as a winner, as a winning bet.
Right. A top 10, though. I mean, you can get a big number on him still. Mm-hmm. So somebody else that I thought was interesting. And then last couple, because some of these really shocked me. Here's a guy that won, he won a tournament for us when we played him. Billy Horschel. Okay. It's a crafty guy that can do a little bit of everything we said. I don't know about the win, but as far as making the cut, getting your points, and getting closer to, money finish, he's 150-1.
That does surprise me. I mean, I think if we play this 100 times, you'd think he'd probably win once, not 150. But looking at his recent finishes, 40th, 50th, he hasn't been razor sharp since he was awesome in the match play. So. More of a maybe add him to your DFS roster and hope that he makes the cut.
Yeah, I mean, just at those numbers, man, it's interesting. And then I'll finish with this guy because He's the biggest mover by far. I mean, it's not even close. No, it's like triple anybody else. He opened at 125 to 1. He's now down to 66 to 1. And it is your man, Garrick Higo.
Yes, the lefty. Wasn't he the stud at the
How about
Palmetto?
that?
Yeah, he was a core play for us, and he won it. That we had I had a couple guys like on Fanduel that didn't help turn it into a winning lineup. Kepka, the unnamed Kepka, who, sure enough, he actually admitted, "Oh man, I just sort of lost my focus and missed the cut."
We
So
said we were afraid of some of that, though,
I
because
know.
they'd be looking forward to the
And
U.S. Open.
of course, it was DJ who showed up and actually played well for most of the event. But
Crazy.
I had a small bet on him to win, so that paid off.
Good.
And yeah, I noticed that those odds really jumped up, didn't they? I mean, he
They
is a
did.
winner, and
Yeah.
really just an
What do you
awesome
think about
story.
his chances here?
I like him. I mean,
Really?
it's tough to say he's going to go out and win, but I mean to have to win several times in the last year,
Yeah.
and you coming off that win, so much confidence, and just his personality. He seems very humble, but confident. And
Yeah.
how could he not be with that game? So, 7,200 on DraftKings. I definitely have him
That's
in my
underpriced.
sights. Yeah,
I think he should be in the mid eights. I really do.
yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was 9,000 last week, which we thought, man, that's a little expensive
Yeah.
for this guy who hasn't done it yet on American soil. But there was a
So
reason,
yeah. So let's have him win and then move his price way
right?
down.
Sure, why not?
I think you think. I mean, my concern is he's going to be chalky.
Yeah, I think
But
he will be. But there's a lot of guys in that price range. I mean, we've already talked about Charlie Hoffman, Streelman,
yeah.
your man Max Homa, who, by the
Yeah.
way, what an interesting pairing. Max Homa, Phil, and Xander. That's
I
going to
know
be
it.
fun.
They could lift each other up a little bit. I think those are some good guys.
Indeed.
My man Max is 90 to 1, by the way.
Yeah,
Last time I bet him at 60 to 1, he got it done. So we'll see.
that's right.
But that is it for the stats, man. So any other words of wisdom on that we need to look at from a strategic standpoint, or do you want to? I know you save some of your phenomenal value plays for our members, rightly so. But do you have one or two value plays that are on the cusp for you that you want to share with our listeners?
I'll mention one who's a borderline. Not quite sure if I want to plug him into the lineup, but I have to mention him since we started the show talking about lefties. Let's circle back with another one, a guy who I mentioned before, Akshay Bhatia, a young lefty who hasn't been playing great. He's only made 1 out of 3 cuts recently, but he played a practice round with Phil this week. And I think he had to have been soaking up all the knowledge he could from this course, not only with Phil's extensive experience here, but as a lefty. So,
Right.
As a really cheap option on both sites, he's somebody I'm looking at as a possible play here because I wouldn't mind getting a few of those guys in that 20 to 1 range that you listed off to win it.
Right.
And mixing in 1 or 2 ultra value plays. So he's in that group that I'm considering.
On that, and he will certainly be low owned. So
Yes, he
definitely
always
a
is.
cool play. Well, outstanding, Andrew. I mean, this is going to be a fun tournament. I cannot wait. I mean, it's wall-to-wall coverage on TV, so we'll get to see all the players that we like and take. I always preach. Bankroll management, contest selection, play the cash game, single entries. But, there's once in a while you got to let loose a little when you see these $2 and $3 million prize pools and take a few shots. And I think this U.S. Open is the time to do it.
I think it's worth at least one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Because one
that's all it takes.
That's all it takes sometimes.
All right. Well, fantastic. We appreciate everybody tuning in. I think we were a little late last week, Andrew, in putting the thumbnail on there for golf.
That's right.
So we had some surprise viewers, I think, for the first time.
Right.
They were expecting basketball, and they said, "What is this, golf?" But maybe now they're listening again because the golf is hot. We've been making money. So hopefully you tuned in again, and we certainly appreciate everybody that catches this. We're on here every Wednesday, and golf's year round, so we're always on here. But if you have any questions, again, shoot us a message at DFS Coach Talk, at Language Olympic, or at Joe Sarvati, and we will be happy to answer them there. So enjoy this beautiful golf tournament, and it should be a great weekend, and we look forward to it. And we'll be back again next week when we look to crush it in PGA DFS.